Familiarity, a dangerous weapon that makes many people lose important people and good things that should have affected their lives. I've seen relationships that have been broken just because of familiarity. I've seen marriages that have been destroyed because of familiarity. I've seen church members in churches that the pastor carries a lot of oil, powerful teachings. Great things comes out from the person when he's in another church, but his church members are still not benefiting from what the pastor carries. Familiarity. I've seen people who don't value other people just because of familiarity. And whatever the person carries, they may not get it. I want us to look at something in the book of Matthew chapter 13. The verse number 54 up to the verse number 58. This was Jesus Christ. Jesus, the place Jesus was being born. The people used to know Jesus as the carpenter's son. They knew all his family members. So if you read Matthew chapter 13, the verse number 54 up to the verse number 58, they started mentioning about Jesus' family, his brothers, the people they think they know about him. And yes, they admitted that things that comes out from this child, this boy, this girl, this person was so powerful. But because they think they knew him way back as somebody who used to be their neighbor, they didn't value what Jesus was carrying. They didn't value what was in Jesus. They didn't value what Jesus was being brought here on earth to do. So they devalue Jesus, and out of that, the Bible helps us to understand the people did not benefit from what Jesus was doing. He was able to do little. Why? Because the people were too familiar with Jesus, and out of that, they became offended. So everything Jesus was saying, they themselves did not even value it. They didn't take even those things serious. And out of that, lost whatever God should have used him to bless his own backyard. Brethren, I don't know where you are and the people you lived with. I don't know the relationship you find yourself in. When you yourself was entering into that relationship, you used to value that person. But when you became too close, lived with that person for some time, you see that person as nobody. Now even the look of that person don't even tickle you. Who the person is doesn't mean anything to you. Before even when the person is speaking nonsense, you valued it. But familiarity, now even important things that comes out from the person's mouth, you don't even value it. Brethren, wherever you find yourself, if you read in the book of 1 Samuel chapter 9, the verse number 5 up to the verse number 8, the Bible helps us to understand. When Saul himself lost his father's donkeys, if he himself would have devalued his servant wouldn't have even connected him to the prophet, and also to pay for the prophet even to speak to them, to encourage the prophet through his shekels that he himself was having to give to the prophet. But because Saul valued his servant, a slave boy, somebody he was working with, valued whatever he shared, Saul became a king. And out of that was received a lot of things from God. There was a man called Naaman in the book of 2 Kings chapter 5. The Bible helps us to understand the man was a leper. But a servant girl that they themselves captured as a slave girl, a maid, saw the leprosy. A leper at that time need to be an outcast. But this man was a great warlord, a captain of the Syrians, very respected because he used to capture a lot of nations. very powerful and strong with a strategic warfare. So the Syrian king and the people in Syria followed Naaman, but the man was a leper. When the servant or the maid gave him the counsel, he was not familiar with the maid. Listened to the counsel of the maid and then ran to the prophet. And out of that was being delivered from leprosy. Brethren, I don't know what you are going through. If you love familiarity, there is something that even you yourself you are looking for, that the person you don't value, it is in. There is something you are praying to God for. If in the book of John chapter 3, the woman who saw Jesus at the well, the Samaritan woman, when she saw Jesus, how Jesus was looking like, she really devalued Jesus. She didn't even see Jesus as an important person. So she was just speaking anyhow. So she realized this man was somebody who is going to be her mission helper. And listen, after Jesus spoke into her life, the woman's life was being transformed. Then what God gave to her, not being a woman, a prostitute, changing husband, having 5 even husbands at a time. But the woman became the first evangelist. Her life changed. Her life was being transformed when she herself met the man that was going to change her life. Before, she was too familiar with him. But after he spoke, he came back to his senses. This hour, wherever you find yourself, you've known people and out of that you've been too familiar with them. Come back to your senses. Psychology helps us to understand even every human being here on earth. You either add up almost every year. You add up with either more knowledge or you lose knowledge. The beauty of God is He can give talent and giftings to people anytime. So the strategy you are looking for, the blessing you are looking for, the idea, what would have helped you to be transformed, for your life to change, there may be somebody you don't even value. Yes, you've listened to the person and most of the time the person speaks nonsense. But you don't know when God was going to touch that person's mind, that person going to give him a special giftings, a special talent, something unique that will help you to make it. Don't be familiar with people. Familiarity, to me, is for the ignorance, because anybody you see, value them, respect them, learn to understand them, and know even if today they are operating trash, one day there may be something you need to add up wherever you find yourself. God bless you. That from today, you are not going to be familiar with people for you to receive your blessing. God be with you.